think I'm with you on that one. Okay, now here's a real fun one. Item 2 is this is going on back east, and I don't think it wouldn't happen out here too. We got a lot of interesting things going on with prostitution. But out there in New York, in the fallout of the murder of that prostitute in Massachusetts by the preppy guy, who apparently found this prostitute on Craigslist, the New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo is crusading against the website Craigslist by busting escort services which are using Craigslist or have used it to find clients. And 7 people were arrested a few days ago, and now Cuomo has said that Craigslist needs to do more to police their website to prevent prostitution transactions. And he says, quote, let's see, I just lost my place here. They need to do more. Oh yeah, unless Craigslist gets serious about putting real protections in place, it will continue to be an environment where criminal operations thrive with impunity. And I'm thinking, well, the 7 arrested guys might disagree that they operated with impunity because they got arrested. So I think it looks like Andrew Cuomo has a very low pussy IQ. Doesn't he know that there's tens of thousands of prostitutes who put their contact information all over the internet, on individual websites, on advertising services all over, and hundreds in New York City alone, and that Craigslist listings are just a small percentage of the overall online contact info. Doesn't this remind you of like the bloviating you hear from the drug czars, and in their war on drugs, they bust a few guys and they declare victory? I think Cuomo is in more dire need of a blowjob than any other AG, other than South Carolina's. We'll get to that. That's item 3. So, what do you think about Cuomo's histrionics out there in New York? This is going nowhere.
What a blowhard. This guy, I can't believe that they're going after Craigslist when every single paper in the nation just about has adult sections. I'll tell you, I did a little research last night. I used to live in Orange County, and I happen to know that the Orange County Register, which is widely referred to in the media as one of the nation's most conservative newspapers, they've got adult sections, and they always have. I pulled this just last night off of the internet, off of their classifieds, adult services for services, and they've got chat and date lines, companionship, entertainment services, TVTS, which is transvestite transsexuals. They've got these are preset sections, and within those sections, I found 30 some odd ads under the adult services. Here's one for beautiful black Barbie, your place only. Asians and Latinas, in call, out call. Lovely Asians, in call, out call. Young and beautiful Asian massage. There's 30 of them, for God's sake.
In one of the most conservative newspapers in the country.
Yes.
In one of the most conservative areas. That is just funny.
And they're going after Craigslist simply because it got into the news, and they feel like they're supposed to do something now.
Wow. Is it that they're embarrassed or something that this goes on? Or is they just looking for a cheap headline? I can't even figure out the motivation other than just getting in the paper.
They're not going to be able to do anything with that. They just say that they're considering pressing charges, and you'll notice that the charges that they're considering pressing are always money laundering and conspiracy to commit, which is what they always throw in there when they've got nothing.
Yeah, that's great.
You have to have a preceding crime in order for those things to be of any effect, and therefore those things are utter bullshit.
That's funny. Okay, then let's get into what they're doing in South Carolina, because it's the same kind of approach and even more ham-handed, I think. The South Carolina AG, Henry McMaster, has also threatened Craigslist with legal action, but this time with prostitution pandering of some kind. But then Craigslist filed a suit against the state as a defensive action, and now McMaster appears to be backing going down. And just from the little research I did, according to the and you just related articles, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, you can't charge a website with a crime simply for hosting a website where people can pretty much post anything. And so now here's another AG with a low pussy IQ and a low IQ on communications law. So, but this time it's a Republican. So I know both sides of the aisle are doing it. What do you make of it down there? Is it the same thing or a little bit different than what's in New York? Is it just headline hunting or?
I think it's probably the same thing. Their motivation might be a little bit different, but it's a bandwagon that they shouldn't be hopping on because it's not going to lead to anything. All it provides is just a grounds for them to go and stump for whatever other causes that they've got going on. It puts their name in the news, but to pursue it. You've got First Amendment rights to free speech. You've got, the protections against being prosecuted because you're merely hosting. They're not going to be able to get anything out of this. So they're really just stumping to the conservative religious right.
Yeah, and that's what's going on down there more than in New York, obviously. They've got a lot of religious right in South Carolina, and they're probably just saying, we're moral crusaders, and they want to be seen as such, and even if their legal handling isn't so swift. But what do you think about the relation to the drug war? Is it, trying to stop prostitution, the world's oldest profession, is just as futile, isn't it?
Oh, it's more futile.
Yep.
There's always going to be more in different types of drugs, but there's always been prostitution, even before there were drugs.
Yeah.
So you're never going to be able to get out of it. And frankly, in my opinion, a lot of marriage is prostitution. You get laid on a first date and you buy the girl a dress, you've committed prostitution.
It's, again, the definition, the government trying to impose a definition of proper behavior. It kind of reminds me of what we're talking about with marriage. If the government tries to define what marriage is, and the government tries to define what proper sexual relations are, they're going to end up just stopping people's freedoms, for consensual adults. They can get into dumb transactions, whether there's money or not, or whether, it's gold digging, or whether it's people using each other and, power grabs, what they call them in Washington, D.C., power fucks, I think they call them, where people just try to sleep their way up the ladder of influence, where the money's not really involved. So all kind of sleazy things happen, but when the government tries to get in the way of it and regulate it and pronounce morally about it, I only draw the line when it comes to kids. If you got putting things in kids' faces, and I think there should be some protections there. But what do you think about legalization in general? I hear about it with drugs, but I don't see hardly any headlines about legalizing prostitution. Do you know or if it's getting traction anywhere?
I don't think it's going to get traction until after they legalize marijuana. And I think that is coming down the pike. But, it works in Europe. And, if there isn't any huge amount of organized crime, matter of fact, there's less of it. And, if it works there, it's already been proven on the model, why not adopt that model?